The outcome of a criminal case in a small town in Florida is being felt nationwide today. It was obviously front page news in Florida. Not guilty, declared the Tampa Tribune as well as the Orlando Sentinel. But it was the lead on newspapers across the country as well. Zimmerman walks, says the Los Angeles Daily News. The LA Times, Zimmerman not guilty. And the no holds barred New York Post simply states travesty. We want to take a look at the final moments of the trial, from the judge's instructions to the reactions on the street. This is everything you need to know.
To prove the crime of manslaughter, the state must prove the following two elements beyond a reasonable doubt. 1, Trayvon Martin is dead. 2, George Zimmerman intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death of Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman cannot be guilty of manslaughter or committing a merely negligent act, or if the killing was either justifiable or excusable homicide.
Technically, it could be a debate going on between manslaughter and second degree. It could be a debate going on between manslaughter and an acquittal.
In the Circuit Court of the 18th Judicial Circuit in and for Seminole County, Florida, State of Florida versus George Zimmerman. Verdict: we, the jury, find George Zimmerman not guilty.
Complete shock. Utter shock. I cannot believe he was not found guilty.
Obviously, we are ecstatic with the results. George Zimmerman was never guilty of anything except protecting himself in self-defense. I'm glad that the jury saw it that way.
I am gratified by the jury's verdict, as happy as I am for George Zimmerman. I'm thrilled that this jury kept this tragedy from becoming a travesty. For that, we are eternally grateful.
I am disappointed, as we are with the verdict, but we accept it. We live in a great country that has a great criminal justice system. It is not perfect, but it's the best in the world, and we respect the jury's verdict.
To the living we owe respect. To the dead we owe the truth. We have been respectful to the living. We have done our best to assure due process to all involved, and we believe that we brought out the truth on behalf of Trayvon Martin.
I really can't put into words how relieved we are as a family. That's the first thing my father said. Having said that, I don't think this is a time for high-fiving. I acknowledge, we all have acknowledged, that Mr. lost his life. It was not an act of murder. It was not an act of manslaughter. The jury has spoken. Our judicial system has spoken. But that does not diminish the tragedy. Death is tragic in any circumstance.
And this just in, President Obama has issued a statement about the verdict in the Trayvon Martin case. I'll read it to you in its entirety. The death of Trayvon Martin was a tragedy, not just for his family or for any one community, but for America. I know this case has elicited strong passions, and in the wake of the verdict, I know those passions may be running even higher. But we are a nation of laws, and a jury has spoken. I now ask every American to respect the call for calm reflection from two parents who lost their young son. And as we do, we should ask ourselves if we're doing all we can to widen the circle of compassion and understanding in our own communities. We should ask ourselves if we're doing all we can to stem the tide of gun violence that claims too many lives across this country on a daily basis. We should ask ourselves as individuals and as a society how we can prevent future tragedies like this. As citizens, that's a job for all of us. That's the way to honor Trayvon Martin. A statement from President Obama issued just moments ago, read in its entirety, commenting on the verdict in the Trayvon Martin trial.